Hey guys, so this is going to be the tutorial for the FleX version 2.1 update. So I'm just going to jump right into this and to go over um, the features in the update for FleX 2.1. So I've tried to keep it really simple as usual, not to get too too fancy, too complicated. So once you don't forget to set your project first, always do that. So once you open up the file, it's going to take about a minute. I think it takes me about a minute just to load because it has so many nodes in there and so many wrapped deformers. I'm going to pause the video, and once it loads, I'm going to start the video again. Okay, so let's jump right into this. So again, I'm not going to talk about all his features because this is just an update. So I'm just going to be going over what's new. Okay. So before in version 2.0, he didn't have dynamic hair. So that's the biggest change in this update. I have now added dynamic hair. So I've added N hair, not fur, to the characters. So both male and female characters have this functionality. I've also made the cloud simulations a little cleaner. So each each of these dynamic controls have their own nucleus. So the N hair has its own nucleus, and if you click on the cloud simulation control, the N cloud has its own nucleus. So if you want the character to have its wrapped geometry, but you want the hair to be simulated, then you have that option. And if you want it the other way around, so you want the clothes to be simulated but the hair to be just static, you have that option too. So there's two separate nuclei. Just keep that in mind. So first of all, let's just hide this hair. Again, I'm not going to go over all this stuff because I have before in the other FleX 2.0 walkthrough. So if you haven't watched that, please, I highly recommend that you watch that. That comes in 3 parts, and that's a full, thorough analysis of the FleX rig and all his features, all his controls, everything. So after you watch that, then it'll be really, really easy to use. So I just turned off his hair, and I'm going to turn on the dynamic hair. So let's first turn on the visibility for his hair. So it doesn't look too good here in the viewport, and again, that's just display. So it'll look much, much better than the render. And okay, I've gone and smoothed the geometry over here, so I'm just going to press 1 and off this to make it a little quicker for me. Okay, so this is, it's not fur, it's N hair. I have tried so many different possibilities with Maya fur, and although it renders really well, it's very, very, very hard to control. And I spent like days and days and days and just countless hours experimenting with Maya fur, and I can never style it, I can never get the correct style that I want. But with N hair, I found that it was very easy to control, very easy to style, and get the desired look that I wanted. And the rendering isn't that bad either. Obviously, it's not as superior as Maya's fur, but it gets the job done and it looks pretty decent. So, so yeah, this is the N hair. Right now, I haven't enabled the nucleus, but it still moves at this head, okay? So right now the hair is static. Let's turn on the nucleus for the hair. And I am going to just so select the head control because it's parented to the head, and I'm going to turn on the interactive playback. make sure that your animation is on play every frame, or else it's gonna skip and it won't get calculated properly. Okay, so make sure the nucleus is turned on, select the head control, and press interactive playback. So now let's see how this works. So sometimes it kind of lags a bit. You just have to do it a few times for it to update. Let's try it again. There we go. So you see that kind of motion in the beginning, it kind of jerks for a second and goes a little bit crazy. Again, that's just kind of glitch, I guess. So just keep resetting it until when you start the simulation it just acts normal and doesn't go too crazy. So that's good. So I've started the interactive playback, and you can see when you move his hair, bam, that's awesome, isn't it? So it's dynamic. His hair updates. And yeah, I know it doesn't look really good, but trust me, in the render it looks awesome. It looks really, really nice. So I mean, there's not much to it. So once you guys have done your animation, just turn on the end hair and create a cache. That's always the best option. So go to end cache, create new cache options. You have to select this for. So for the end cache options, I find that the default settings work really well. So just make sure you reset the settings and click create. I'm not going to create it now because there's no animation on my character. But once you guys have an animation applied, all you have to do is click create. Make sure you select your end hair, and make sure the nucleus is on. And once you create it, then everything will run more smoothly. What else? So I highly recommend not to animate your character like this. So it's a good idea just to turn off all the hair, all the cloth, and just animate just the character himself. Okay, don't go into any simulations. That should be like the last thing you do once your animation is finalized, once your lights are set up. So just keep that in mind. It's a good workflow tip to ensure that you work quickly and efficiently, and that the end hair or end cloth doesn't slow you down when you're animating. So turn off all the simulations when you're animating. Turn off the nuclei, and so yeah, that's the end hair for the guy. I'm just gonna show you the end hair for the girl really quickly too. So a few of these menus have been cleaned up too. A few of these controls, the attributes, just cleaned up a bit. Okay, I'm just going to turn off the clothes for now. So let's go to the end here. And so this is just visibility, okay? It just turns it on. Interactive playback. Okay, so it's working. And again, if it goes crazy, just rewind it, do it again. That's good. And there you go, look at that, it's beautiful. It's updating. So if you find that the hair is a little bit too wavy, or you want it to be more rigid, there's this really nice attribute. So select the end hair first. You have to go into your hair system, and there is a really, really powerful attribute in dynamic properties. Start curve attract. Okay, so I find that this value is kind of like an in-between, so it's not too stiff and it's not too too dynamic, so it's not like blowing all over the place. But this value can be animated, so if you set a key, let me just try that. Hold on. So for example, let's say she's looking down. So our hair is not going to be like this static, right? It's going to fall down. It's going to be more more loose. It's going to be more dynamic. So, but when our head's up here, it's not going to be falling to the ground, and it's not going to be that that wavy and that loose. So let's just do a small animation of the head, really quick. Alright, so just ignore that. The hair gets a little messed up, but it gets updated once you play it using your interactive playback button. And I'm going to just animate that attribute. So the start cover track, set key, frame 80. So the higher this value is, the more rigid or the more stiff the hair is going to be. Okay, because it's telling the end hair to keep its shape. So the lower this value is, the more free the hair is going to be, and the more it's not going to take any shape. It's going to be really dynamic. So keep that in mind. And I think it was 180. So let's set this back to 0.3. So I just animated that value. And quick tip, I've never really figured this out, but if you press the select button over here, it turns off the selection in the viewport, but the node is still selected, so you could still make changes to the hair system. Because before I was just clicking here, and then all that would just disappear, and then I have to go back here and then click it again, but then I can't really see it well because it's all green. So just a quick tip: you click select, selects the node, and it deselects it from the viewport. Alright, let's check this out. Interactive playback. Hope this works. So you can see the hair is sticking to her head. It's a bit static, but at this point, as she bends down her head, it's gonna lose its staticness, I guess, and it's just gonna be more dynamic. I'm not sure if it's updating too well. There we go. Something, yeah, it's working. Look at that. That's beautiful. So as she bends her head down, the hair is not going to stick to her face. It's going to act naturally, as gravity would be influencing this. So keep in mind, I'm not playing with the gravity or anything. I'm just playing with this value, okay? Don't mess with the gravity, because that's going to mess up with all the other end hair systems, and it's just a not clean way to work. So keep the gravity values constant. So that was awesome. So there you go, it works. So that's just a quick tip, okay? If you want to get the most accuracy out of your simulations, you'll have to animate that value, and it doesn't take much time at all. So let's just delete these keys. Alright, that is end hair for you. Let me just show you a quick render of that. This is, yeah. It's a little bit hard to see, it's a little bit dark, but trust me, it's really nice. Once you've, I really like the girl's hair, it's awesome. I was able to get the style that I wanted, and there's some specular, some noise in the color. It looks really nice. It's beautiful. So yeah, those are the renders, and they don't take too much time. I think it takes about 30 seconds at 960p, which is not that bad. Oh, and of course the rendering. So before there was a Flex environment node over here with a whole bunch of lights, like 15 lights, I think. It's still there. So group underscore lights. But I've added a really basic light setup with just 2 lights, and I've used these 2 lights for the rendering of the hair. So those renders that you just saw, it was made with just these 2 lights, and that's the basic light setup. Light rig renders take a little bit more time. I think it took me about a minute or two to render at 960p, whereas the basic light rig takes about 10 to 30 seconds. So it depends on what you want. The basic light rig gives you a nice soft feel, really nice, subtle feel, but it's a little bit dull. The light rig setup is a bit more vibrant. Yeah, it's just more vibrant, more colorful. So it depends what you want. So I've added 2 of these things, so if you don't want to render one, just hide it, and you can use the basic light rig or vice versa. Okay, if you do both at the same time, it gets a little bit overexposed with the render. Just keep that in mind. So those are there for you to use. And in the basic light rig there is an area light. If you find that the samples are a bit grainy, it's going to increase your render time, but you have to under the mental ray menu and under area light, these 2 options, just pump them up, so like 50 and 50. So that'll remove all the grain in your shadows. It's gonna increase your render time significantly, but if you have a powerful computer and if that's what you want, if your computer can handle it, go for it. My computer kind of crashes, so I've just left that at value of 10. So that's light rig. I've gone through the end hair, the lights. So the end cloth before was a bit messed up, in the sense that the initial state for all the end cloth was, I mean, it didn't even match the pose that the character's in right now. So I've just reset that. So let's go to the cloud simulation control. So now it fits perfectly with the character, and it is dynamic. Okay, so this is not the wrapped geometry, it's the simulated geometry. So in order to see it, remember this is a separate nucleus, okay? So enable the nucleus for the cloud simulation, and let's do that. And interactive, oh, let's just go to the first frame. Interactive playback. So the simulation is a bit cleaner. It starts off correctly. Yeah, not gonna go into that much deeper. So that's just a little fix, and this is done with all the pieces of end cloth over here. Okay, so I've just updated the initial state. You can put that in. Right. So end cloth and hair. I've gone through these before in the other videos. There's not many changes with these things. The jiggle and the wardrobe. So I'm not going to talk about that now. I think that's about it, actually. So yeah, just remember that when you're animating FleX 2.0, sorry, 2.1, to turn off all your simulations, just keep it clean, keep it tidy. And when everything is finalized, when you're happy with your animation, when you've got your lights set up, add in your hair, your cloth, turn on the nuclei, nuclei, and make sure you create an cache, and you're set to render. Oh, sorry, one more thing, really small. There is now a scale attribute, so I've got a lot of, I don't want to say complaints, but maybe concerns that the character's hands are too big, and they are a bit too big. And the feet. The hands and feet are a little bit too big, so I've added a simple scale control. It doesn't work too well, because I think I just added, ended up scaling the joints, so it's not that great. So don't go all the way, like -10 is the maximum. It looks really bad, so I'd say not to go past -5. Like, it's a really subtle thing, but or you could scale it up if you want extra large hands, like Wreck-It Ralph. Same thing goes for the feet. Okay, so that's here in the palm control, and this is here in the foot control. So size. Okay, so that's there for both the feet. And there's something called shoe size too. So really quick, just an example. So I'm going to turn off that. Just turn off all this stuff. So this works, this is more specifically for the heels, okay? So let's see. I don't know, what should we do? Why not? So as you can see, it's the heels are a bit messed up. So that's what you use the shoe size control for. So the heels are a bit slanted, but when you change the shoe size, kind of solves that problem a bit. Okay, so I know it's not the best, but kind of gets the job done. And again, if the leg is looking a little broken here, I think I've gone through all of this stuff in the previous videos, but there's a couple of bend controls to bend the limbs in between. Whoops. Okay. So there you go. That is it for now. I think I might make a tutorial later on regarding the creation of the end hair, because I spent like a huge amount of time just, you know, with the styling, and I can hardly find any good tutorials online, so most of it was just trial and error, and it took me, I think, like a week or two just experimenting with so many different values and attributes, and you know, Maya fur, so many methods of creating characters' hair. And I don't want you guys to go through that trouble of, you know, just experimenting and wasting your time. So I'm gonna do a tutorial of how I created the end hair for these characters, and so look out for that. And if you have any questions, you guys can email me. My email is in the README file when you download this rig. It's also when you open the rig, the scene file. My email is displayed there for a brief second. Can't miss it. And I'll also put in the description. So I think that's it. If you guys have any questions, shoot me an email. So that is the FleX rig 2.1 for you. And for the record, I think that's as far as this is going to go. I mean, there's not much more that I'm going to be working on for this rig. So that's pretty much it for this rig in its entirety. So I hope you guys enjoy this, because this has been several months of hard work. FleX rig 2.1, guys. Enjoy. Shoot me an email if you have any questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.